Einiger headed that way.
Now to the final farewell to Jordan Neely, the homeless man who died after being put in a chokehold on the subway. Family and friends gathered this morning at a church in Harlem. Reverend Al Sharpton delivered a powerful eulogy, urging better services for those who are homeless and suffering from mental illness.
Neely's death set off a fierce debate about vigilantism, homelessness, and public safety. He died earlier this month after a Marine veteran put him in a chokehold on an F train after witnesses say he was harassing and threatening passengers. Eyewitness News reporter Darla Miles live in Harlem with more on today's funeral. Darla.
Lauren, Reverend Al Sharpton's eulogy was a call to action. He was very passionate about not criminalizing the mentally ill and not devaluing Jordan's life because he suffered from mental illness.
Despite whatever mental challenges he may have had, he wanted to be something. He didn't want to be a drug dealer. He wanted to be Michael Jackson.
His impersonation of the entertainer he idolized made him happy. He'd hoped it would make others just as happy as it made him. Those are the fond memories of Jordan Neely remembered at his funeral, but sadly, how he died is what no one will ever forget.
What is so important is that Jordan was a New Yorker. He was loved, he was cared for, he was seen by this community.
Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez was among elected officials at Mount Nebo Baptist Church for the funeral of Jordan Neely Friday morning. Lieutenant Governor Antonio Delgado, Mark Levine, Brad Lander, and Jumaane Williams all in attendance as well.
I think Reverend Sharpton hit all the right tones of what should have been said. I think he was correct to say that we should talk about how Jordan lived, but it seems that some folks want to ignore how he died.
In your name, we're going to change how they deal with the mentally ill.
During his eulogy, Reverend Sharpton issued a passionate rallying cry to overhaul the city's broken mental health system, referencing people with big titles who aren't doing their jobs. The 30-year-old struggled with mental illness, and during an episode on the subway earlier this month, he was placed in a fatal chokehold and died.
Jordan was not annoying someone on the train. Jordan was screaming for help.
24-year-old Daniel Penny, a retired Marine Corps sergeant, faces second-degree manslaughter charges in Neely's death. But for Sharpton, that is not enough.
And they ought to bring before the grand jury the two guys that held him down.
Now, in terms of the investigation, the NYPD has identified one of the two men who were also part of the incident on the subway, but they're still looking for him to bring him in to interview him for questions about the incident. And I also have to add this. Neely suffered extreme mental illness after the brutal death of his mother in 2007, and her funeral was also held at this church. Reporting live in Harlem, Darla Miles, Channel 7 Eyewitness News.
Darla, thank you. We are